What happened to us? How is it that we became so selfish? We don't care about people anymore, okay? And so this is what happened. Last December the 4th, that was my birthday, okay? I was turning 60. I was coming back from South Miami. I had gotten a haircut. Not that I was excited, but I did some jogging in the morning, some boxing in the morning. I did some housekeeping, clean the house. My wife is very sick, so that's very important, cleaning the house, okay? And then I said, well, go get a haircut and start off your new decade with a clean cut. So that was awesome. So I came back from South Miami, and on my way to home, this area, for some reason I had a bad feeling. I didn't know what it was, okay? Got into the elevator. I took the stairwells. I took the stairwells, and as I am almost opening the door of my unit, this is my unit, one of the property owners of the building, this building, comes up to me and said, what is he doing on the 6th floor? He lives in a different floor in the building. What is he doing here? He comes up to me and he goes, Miguel, let's call him Tommy. Let's change his name, okay? Hey Miguel, Tommy just passed away. You gotta be kidding. Yeah, he just passed away, man. I got a phone call and we got the code for his apartment, so we were able to get in. And I found him, he told me, I found him laying down on his bed with not the left hand, but with the right hand on his chest. The other hand, grabbing the cell phone.
Todo eso le pertenecía al muchacho.
Calling 911. So he had a heart.
Un seguro de vida, loco.
Tommy was only 47. I thought he was like 51. He was only 47. He was from Guyana. Okay. He had been in Miami Beach since I would say 2007, 2008. I moved here 2009, January. So he had been here like 24 months prior to my arrival to Miami Beach, okay? So I had met Tommy 16, 17 years now. We were not friends, we were not buddies, but we were very kind to each other, okay? He was a very nice person, very friendly. He had very good manners. He cared about people. However, he was not gregarious, okay? He would keep to himself. He was very kept to himself, okay? He was not the kind of person that would have close friends, okay? Bring other people to his place, either from work, from the community. The last time that me and my wife saw Tommy with a girlfriend was maybe, it's 2005, 2011, 2012, maybe. It had been a long time that we had seen him with a girlfriend, okay? So he was just kept to himself, and his passion was his little 2 dogs. So he had 2 dogs. One of his dogs passed away about 18 months ago. So he bought another one, little ones, okay? He was very much into his pets, okay? That was his life, and he would smoke a lot. I remember that 2 months ago, he did a favor for me. We needed a witness signature. You know, when you're in those moments that you need somebody to sign as a witness. And I didn't know who to contact to here in Miami Beach, my family, the only family that I have in America, they live up in Broward County, Pembroke Pines. So I said, that's a 45-minute drive. I need somebody now. So I knocked on his door and told me open the door. Oh, Miguel, don't worry about that. I'll be in your place in 5 minutes. Give me just 5 minutes. So he was here. He was talking to us, saying hi to my wife. She's pretty much bedridden. We spent some time together. He signed the documents. He did us a favor. We shared some stuff. He would talk about Miami Beach, the tourists. He would talk about the weather. He was not into having friends, okay? That was not his thing. But he would talk because he knew he was in our place, so we were sharing some stuff, okay? So he took off, he left. I went ahead and through the mail, the envelope in the mailbox, okay? And that was it. So what is the problem? The problem is what happened after his death. I asked some people of the building, from the building, what's going to happen. I asked very forensic question. Did the body has been taken away? Did the police show up? Is there a criminal investigation? Is there going to be a funeral? What about his family? Because he was very, as I said, kept to himself. He would, if you would ask him, oh, looks here, you're coming from Indiana, because Tommy would always bring his Lexus with his Indiana tags. So I knew he was from Indiana. And he would never mention his family. He would never mention the reason he would go back on the holidays to Indiana. Sometimes he would spend a month. Oh, he recently had spent like 2 months. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I'm just remembering that. Yeah, recently, like 3-4 months ago, he spent like 45 days or 2 months up in Indiana. Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. That was recently, like August, July, early September. But he wouldn't mention his family. He would never mention, I saw my parents, or I saw my sisters, or whatever. He would never mention anybody related or regarding his family, okay? He was very kept to himself. Okay, very good-hearted guy, okay? So my problem is this. Once he passed away, the people, this business, this building, the building, it's a business as well. This building, the property owners and the tenants who knew him, they just went about his day or her day like nothing had happened. Nobody would talk about him except the ones who were very close to him, like the one who I talk about the funeral, me, my wife, and someone else. There's not too many people who used to live here who has been living in this building for 20 years, okay? It's a handful of people, less than 5 people, okay? This is a building that is being acquired by a lot of millennials, architects, people in the tech industry. They're buying units in this building, okay? It used to be, back in the day, a Jewish community building, only for people from the Jewish community, okay? In the beginning, 1969. So my concern was that nobody cared, nobody said a word about him, and I became kind of worried. I was very sad, okay, because I was in shock. I couldn't believe on the day that I was turning 60 that this guy had passed away, that he didn't pass away on the 4th. They were told he had passed away 2 days prior to this guy opening the door and finding him laying down on his bed, okay? And I remember that for some reason, I've been taking the stairwells on my way up and then on my way down. I saw some mail piling up by his door, but it didn't get to my attention to think that. I thought, well, Thanksgiving, we just had Thanksgiving, maybe he went back to Indiana. It never crossed my mind that something was going on inside his apartment, okay? The problem is that I was the only one thinking about his soul, his presence in this planet Earth, okay? I was thinking about that he was gone. He would walk his dogs this way, all the way to Collins, and he would make a ride, okay? The last time that I saw him right there where the light is walking down. He was crossing, coming to the building, okay? That was the last time that I saw him. And that was like 5 days prior to the 4th. So that was, Thanksgiving, maybe the next day. That was the last time that I saw him. And I barely saw him, like he disappeared, okay? When I saw him crossing the street, he disappeared. He was walking his little dogs, okay? So my concern was, did his life have any value? Why is it that people don't care about his life? Why is it that nobody's remembering him? Why is it that we just care about ourselves? Why is it that we just move on? Why is it that his life didn't have any impact on anybody? Why is it that nobody talks? Why is it that he has been forgotten so easily? And I began to ask myself a lot of questions, and I was praying right here in this area. I was praying, okay? And I was praying to the good Lord, okay? What happened? I was asking him, what happened? What are you going to do with his soul? And I was praying, please welcome back his soul, because it seems like nobody cares about him. And I was really concerned, okay? And I was talking to my wife. My wife, as I said, she's pretty much bedridden. She can jump into her wheelchair and go to her office and go back to her bed. She spends a lot of time on her bed. They get those kind of patients get very depressed. Her left leg has already been amputated. It's a diabetes type 2. She's going through a horrible time, and so I am, okay? But she would tell me, Miguel, I don't want to talk about that. But we need to talk about him. He used to be our friend. He used to live on our very same floor. I remember Tommy telling me, Miguel, seems like we've got the catwalk to ourselves. There's nobody else living on the floor because you've got unit 62, 63, and 64. They're all empty for different reasons, okay? It would take another video just to explain it. And not even my wife wanted to talk about him. And we would pray, okay, together. We pray a lot with my wife, and I would have some reservations to mention his name on my prayer, because she would get like annoyed. Like, why are you mentioning him? He's already dead. We have to move on. And then it's like everybody was thinking the same. We have to move on. It's not about him. It's about us. So, okay, it's about us. I understand that it's about us. So if it is about us, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that I am looking for? This is almost 2026. We are just avoiding trouble. It's not that we do want to live where we just want to avoid trouble. We just want to avoid responsibilities. Nowadays, the synonym for avoiding trouble is avoiding responsibility. We do not want to have any kind of responsibility. That's the reason people are not dating, people are not getting married, people are not having kids. And I'm talking millennials, okay? And the rest of the generations, okay? People are not keeping their jobs. People just want to quit their 9 to 5, okay? That's the talk of the town is, I don't want to work anymore. I just want to
This is the family.
get sort of a universal basic income. But that's not the way life is. You have to work.
This is the family that came from
That's the way we were created, man.
Indiana.
Go back to Eden, paradise. We were created after the Adam and Eve sin. We have to work for our
You see, his life is gone
survival.
forever, man. There's nothing
Okay,
to do.
we don't have a choice. But people don't want to work anymore. People don't want to get married. Don't want to have kids. Why is it? There is a disease going on. It's a
Life
pandemic.
is gone forever.
It's called, I do not want to be responsible for anybody but myself, and sometimes including myself. I don't want to be around anymore. Most people are saying, okay, if you were to give somebody the chance to make a decision nowadays, late 2025, early 2026, you won't have any legal responsibility. Nobody's going to blame you. You won't be taxed. You will not be persecuted or prosecuted. You can just sign this document and die. We will cremate your body. You will disappear. I would say that out of 8.1 billion people on planet Earth, I would say that easily 35% would say, count on me. Sign me in. I'm all in. We do not want to be responsible for anybody. And then we go back to Tommy. Nobody cared about Tommy. His life had no meaning for anybody. And then I began to wonder, he was going back to Indiana. He must have family. And I decided not to bother the other guy, the guy who was in contact, I believe he was in contact with his family because he was the one who found him on the bed, okay? He was given the code to get into by the property owner, okay? He was a tenant. Tommy, he was a tenant, okay? He didn't own the unit. He had a house back in Indiana that he had inherited from his family. So that's the reason I had the feeling that he didn't have parents anymore. But guess what happened? So we're talking, today is the 21st, okay? 21st. Like on the 17th, I see a biggest truck parked right next to my Ford Ranger at the garage. And I see, oh, that's that truck doesn't belong to this building. And then I see a lot of stuff being taken out of Tommy's unit right next to the elevator. And I say, well, that might be the property owner. You know, they want to rent it out as soon as possible. They don't want to lose any money. They want to make a buck as soon as possible. But then I realized the people exiting the unit were very similar to Tommy's. So they look like Tommy. And then I asked someone from the building, no, that's Tommy's family.
On the sidewalk.
They came all the way, they drove all the way from Indiana to Miami
Imagine
Beach
what
to take care of Tommy's body, the funeral, and to cremate him.
Ooh,
And
it's
take him
alive.
back to,
It's still alive.
Indiana, where
No.
he was going to have another funeral with,
Have a good trip,
you know,
man.
maybe his high school friends, family. And then I understood, and I said, thanks God, thanks God, thanks God that at least his life had some meaning, purpose. He was not forgotten by his family. And then I said, that's the beauty of America. America always remembers his people. In this case, he was not a hero, but he had a family. They came all the way from Indiana on a truck, a Chevy truck, brand new. That was like a 250. No, that was not a 250, but that was a big ass truck, okay? To take care of his son. And then they realized that his mom, his dad were still alive. His sisters, younger than him, were still alive. And they were in pain. So then I said, there must be a God, because somebody is thinking about Tommy. He was not forgotten. And then I met this guy, the one that I told, please let me know if there's going to be a funeral. Hey, Miguel, he goes, I forgot to tell you, but we had a funeral with his family across the street, with his co-workers. He used to work, he would work with this sort of a pre-BRMB company. They would rent units all around Miami Beach, okay? He had been working with that company for 15 years, 14 years, 13 years, okay? He was sort of a manager, you know, in charge of the tourists. I mean, tours, make sure everything is ready. Sometimes picking them up from the airport, taking them back to the airport. I mean, he was in charge of everything. Okay, that was his job, okay? But then I realized that I was wrong. Some people do think about their people. So some people are lucky not to be forgotten overnight. But then, when I saw his stuff, his family, they threw everything away, okay? You will see in the video, because I filmed, they threw everything away. Everything. I don't know if they took something just to have some memories about him, but they took everything away. Because Tommy's life was a life that had purpose just for him and his pets, not for the community. He was very friendly, okay? He had a good heart, okay? His demeanor, the way he would look at you, was very friendly, very peaceful, okay? But he was not part of the community. He had created his own community within himself. But then what I realized is that the minute you pass away, nobody cares about you. That was his family, but I'm talking about the other people, including myself. I was the only one, the only fool, thinking about his soul, praying about him, remembering him, asking the Lord, please welcome him, give him a chance, talk to him. He was not a spiritual, okay? He would never talk about God. He just didn't care about that, okay? He would smoke, but he wouldn't smoke outside. He would just smoke inside his unit. That's the reason you would open the elevator and you would feel the smoke odor, okay, coming out of his front door and from the balcony. The balcony is facing Washington Avenue, okay? His balcony on this very same floor. So what happened? People pass away and we don't even care. So what is the reason? There's nothing else for me? He can do anything else for me? He's dead. I don't have time for him. What is the reason we believe that when somebody passes away, it's gone forever? So what is the meaning of life? What is the meaning of life? My answer would be avoiding responsibility. I don't want to be responsible for anything whatsoever. Some people in their jobs, they don't want to get a promotion because they know it's going to be a lot of work if they don't want to be responsible. In fact, I want to get a demotion. I don't care if I make less money. People just don't want to be responsible. People are extremely burned out. Nobody cares about anybody. We just want to survive the time left that we have. And the worst that can happen is having a responsibility. So forget about kids. Forget about having a lady, your wife, pregnant and waiting, expecting for 8-9 months. That's like a marathon. That's like too much struggle, you know? That's a hassle. So nobody wants that. Everybody's avoiding that. And everybody's avoiding that not only in America, everywhere. Everywhere. Not to mention Europe. You know how Europeans are. They don't care. Long time ago. So you see on the video some footage that I took, okay? And that will tell you the meaning of life, who we really are, what we really care about. We don't care about each other anymore. Money, it's a good feature, okay? Money helps. Money will change people's lives, okay? But will not change yours. It will change mine. That's the way we think. Because I'm not going to be responsible anymore. It's all about not being responsible. I do not want to carry you. I do not want to open the door for you. If you call me, I don't want to pick up the phone. Leave me alone. Do not knock on my door. That's what we have become. So, let alone, what if somebody passes away? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I'm talking a 47-year-old man. Okay? We're not talking about a 70, 78, 79, 81-year-old man. No. 47. And I thought he was like 51, 52. I was surprised when I heard, just 47? Wow. So he was born 77, 78. Farrah Fawcett, Majors, John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Star Wars. That was back in the day. Mid-80s. Mid-70s, sorry. Mid-80s, thrash metal.
Jim, 47 years old, he passed away, and there's nothing left for him. Can you believe
So,
that?
where do we go from here? Is there any hope for humanity?
You see,
So many wars. Do we
everything
really care
comes
about
from
each other? Will we spend time with somebody in need? Will we help somebody that needs our money, our time? We won't, and that's who we are. And I realized when Tommy passed away, he passed away either on the 1st or on the 2nd of December 2025, that we really don't care, that the meaning of life has lost its real meaning. There's no purpose anymore. Life has no purpose. Either you're alive or dead. If you ask someone what is the purpose of your life, they will tell you straightforward, looking at you in your eyes, money. Money is the purpose of my life. Okay, money is very important. I agree, man. Money is crucial. And Italian people say, money el dinero no cura la enfermedad, pero calma los nervios. Money is not gonna heal the disease, but it's gonna calm you down, pretty much. So what is the purpose of life? Another day? Okay, dream, dream, dream. The Beverly Brothers. Make sure you wake up tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. So what is the purpose of life? I just had an incident at this building. Nobody cared about him, but his family. So what have we become? Are we human beings? Is our name important? Do co-workers care? Do they care about you? Because the next day, everybody went about his day like nothing had happened. Am I the only stupid that kept talking about him, remembering him, praying about him? I was so happy when I saw his family. I was really happy. I couldn't believe they were here. They care about him. They were in pain. They refused to mingle with the people of the building. They had their reasons, okay? They just talked to the guy that found his body. He's a guy from New York. They didn't talk to anyone else, okay? Maybe the management of the building, and that was it. And 2 days ago, we went out for a walk with my wife. Walk, I mean pushing her wheelchair. And we went through that area. And there's quite a few restaurants. And while I was pushing her wheelchair, I heard my name, Miguel. And it was the guy who found his body and Tommy's family. They were having dinner. Just like saying goodbye, they were on their way back to the next day. They were going to depart back to Indiana. So I was happy at least to see his family. Very close, okay? We didn't talk because I didn't want to disturb. They were having a meal, you know. Why would you? But I just, at least I wanted to say I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am. But I just pushed my wife's chair and we said, hello, how are you? We greeted the people at the table and I moved forward, you know. They were eating and nobody wants to be disturbed when you're eating. And there we go again. We just care about ourselves. I didn't want to disturb them. They didn't want to be disturbed. I was pushing my wife, wheelchair. So we avoid responsibilities. What kind of responsibility? Talking to someone. Spending time with someone. But in this case, I had the feeling that I was disturbing. Okay, I was foreign to them. They didn't even know who I am. Maybe this guy told me he happened to live on the very same floor. They were good friends with Tony. Okay, well, maybe that's what he shared with them. I don't know. Most likely, okay? Is life important? When I saw his treadmill right next to the elevator, you'll see the footage. Wow. What did he think? The day before, prior to his death. And I've got the feeling, knowing Tommy, that he knew what was going on.
Jones,
the day before.
Jones,
He had some pain in his chest. I've got the feeling, his chest, his arm, I've got the feeling that he knew what was going on. But he was so home alone guy that he just didn't want to disturb anybody. And at some point he said, whatever I have to do, I've got to go to the hospital, get an Uber. I just don't want to do it. I'm just going to lay down, smoke another cigarette, get some rest, and wake up tomorrow. Guess what? He didn't have that time. He was found with his phone on his hand and the other hand on his chest. But that's the way life is. The problem is, what kind of impact did his death have on us? Nothing. Nothing. All of us just move on. Like we didn't care. Very soon it's going to be January the 1st, 2026. And you will make plans. Most likely I'll make some plans as well. And he's going to be forgotten forever. And nobody cares. So how do you make your life meaningful? Care about people. That's the lesson. Care about people. Some people might need you, man. Pray for people. If you happen to be a Judeo-Christian, pray for people. Pray for people. And I was asking the Lord, did you welcome him? Is he with you? He didn't answer me, okay? Not that he would answer me with an audible voice. No, I mean, when God talks, he talks to your heart, okay? That's the way he talks to you. He didn't answer me. Pretty much he told me that it's none of your business. That's my business. If he answered me, that's what he answered. None of your business. So what is the purpose of life? I'll get some coffee. God bless you, okay? And God bless America. I'm so happy his family came all over from Indiana to Miami Beach. God bless America. And God bless you, Tommy. I know you're in heaven.